The morning light threw long shadows across Lucas Bennett's struggling farm when he first heard the motor coughing on the dusty trail beyond his property's edge. At 42, Lucas could pinpoint the sound of mechanical failure, a tongue he'd mastered through necessity and years of nursing old gear with hope and quiet prayers. He looked up from tending his aging tractor, wiping grimy hands on his worn jeans, and saw a glossy silver luxury car stopped, its hood open. A young woman in a graceful cream dress stood beside it, holding her phone aloft, clearly chasing a signal that wouldn't reach this remote Kansas corner. Her auburn hair gleamed in the dawn's glow, and even from a distance, Lucas could sense her agitation in her posture. Everything about her screamed wealth and refinement, from her stylish sunglasses to her flawless appearance. She was as out of place on this rural path as a daisy in a barley field. Lucas's initial urge was to keep to himself. His own troubles were enough without, tangling with stranded city dwellers. His farm was 3 months behind on payments, his crops fought another parched season, and his pride had taken plenty of knocks. But his mother's voice echoed in his heart. A person's worth isn't gauged by what they own, Lucas, but by what they're willing to share when help is needed. Lucas grabbed his toolbox and approached the road. "Pardon, miss, looks like your car's acting up." The woman turned, and Lucas was struck by her striking grey eyes, showing more openness than her polished look suggested. "Oh, thank goodness," she said, relief clear in her voice. "I'm Clara Emerson. My car just stopped, and there's no signal here. Do you know anything about fancy cars?" Lucas offered, a slight smile at the mild irony. "Well, I've kept machines humming most of my life. Let me take a peek." As he checked the engine, Lucas felt Clara watching him, her phone now still in her hand as she abandoned the signal search. "You from around here?" she asked, her tone earnest, not patronizing. "Born and bred on that farm there," Lucas replied, gesturing to his modest homestead. "Fourth generation Bennett to work this land. Must be grounding, having such deep roots in one spot." Her voice carried a longing, making Lucas glance up from the engine. "You don't sound like you've had that." Clara was quiet a moment. "My father and I exist in circles where your wealth is, known before your name. Sometimes I wonder what it's like to be seen for more than my family's riches." Lucas found the fault, a loose cable disrupting the electrical system, and as he worked to mend it, he stole looks at this unexpected guest. "There," he said, closing the hood. "Try starting it now." The engine roared to life at once. Clara's face lit up with heartfelt thanks. "You're a miracle worker. What do I owe you?" Lucas cleaned his hands on a rag, shrugging. "Nothing, just being a good neighbor." Clara looked baffled. "But you took time, used your tools." "Sometimes people help because it's right, not for what they'll get." For a moment Clara stared as if he'd spoken a strange language. "Can I ask you something? What's it like living here, really living, not just passing by?" Lucas leaned against her car, caught off guard by her question. "It's honest work, hard work. Some years are kinder than others. This year," he nodded toward his dry fields, "this year's testing, my spirit hard." "Married, family." "Was married. She decided farm life wasn't for her. Can't blame her. It's not for all." Clara nodded, pensive. "I'm sorry. That must have been tough." "Life shows us what we can bear," Lucas said simply. "What about you? What brings a city woman to nowhere, Kansas?" "Visiting a college friend in Topeka. Got lost on back roads, trying a shortcut." She paused. "My father would lose his mind if he knew I was here alone." "Protective?" "Controlling," Clara corrected gently. "He means well, but he sees the world as full of people after our family's success. It's hard to tell who cares for you versus what you stand for." Lucas studied her, seeing past the fine clothes to the solitude beneath. "That sounds like its own kind of jail." "It is," she admitted softly. Over the next few weeks, Lucas was surprised to see Clara return. She'd rent a car in town and drive to his farm, always with a pretext. She wanted to understand rural life, learn about sustainable farming, or escape city clamor. Each visit lingered longer. She'd sit on his porch as he worked on gear, asking about farming, his family's history on the land, and what it meant to create something with your hands. "You know," Lucas said one evening as they watched, "the sunset tint the wheat fields gold. You never told me what your father does." Clara was silent so long Lucas thought she might not answer. "He runs Emerson Tech," she said finally. "You might not know it." Lucas nearly choked on his coffee. Emerson Tech was a global tech titan, known to everyone. "Clara," he began. "Please don't view me differently," she cut in fast. "For the first time, someone sees me as just me, not as Henry Emerson's daughter, not a trust fund, not a business chance, just Clara." Lucas set down his cup and truly saw her. "You're still the same person who's been on my porch 3 weeks, asking deep questions and helping shell peas. Your father's money doesn't change who you are to me." 2 months later, Lucas stood in his kitchen, staring at the foreclosure notice that arrived that morning. Despite his tireless work, 18-hour days and selling off gear, he'd lose the farm his family had held for 4 generations. He held the letter when Clara arrived for her usual visit. "Lucas, what's wrong?" He passed her the notice without a word. Clara read it twice, her face growing pale. "How much do you need?" "Clara, no. I won't take your money. I won't be another person using you for your family's wealth." "What if I'm offering because of what you've given me?" she asked quietly. "You've shown me what it's like to be valued for who I am, not my worth. You've let me help, treated me like I have something to offer. Do you know how rare that is in my world?" Lucas met her eyes, seeing the same vulnerability he'd noticed that first day on the road. "There's more," Clara went on. "I don't want to just save your farm. I want to be part of it, part of this life you've built if you'll have me." "Clara, you don't understand what you're saying. This isn't some charming rural fantasy. It's tough work, uncertain income, more losses than wins most years." "I've lived with certain wealth and uncertain hearts my whole life," she said. "I'd rather have the opposite." 6 months later, Lucas stood where he'd first seen Clara's broken-down car. But now she stood beside him, her fine dresses traded for boots and jeans, her manicured hands now roughened by honest labor. "Any regrets?" he asked, watching her survey their thriving fields. "About leaving my old life?" "None," she said, resting against him, comfortable in her own skin as never before. "About loving a farmer too proud to take help easily?" "That's still open to debate," she teased. Lucas laughed, drawing her closer. "Your father's still not speaking to you. He'll come around someday. He'll see. I didn't marry beneath me. I married into the life I was meant to live." As they walked toward the farmhouse, Lucas reflected on how fast life could change. Sometimes the greatest shifts begin with the simplest act of kindness, stopping to help a stranger, seeing past appearances to the person inside, daring to trust that love can span any divide between worlds. In the end, it wasn't about her wealth or his land. It was about 2 people finding in each other what they'd always sought: acceptance, purpose, and a love that grows stronger through shared work and mutual respect.